every time you challenge your brain or challenge your comfort zone to do something a little bit different, what happens is you begin to open up more possibilities in your life. But with that extra effort, you get rewarded 10x. Right? So it takes effort, it takes work, and that's why we don't typically do it, myself included. But if you do it and you actually set the tone and you go into it looking to have that experience, magical things can happen. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is our Mindset and Motivation Monday. I'm Dr. Stephen Cabral, board certified Doctor of Naturopathy, host of the Cabral Concept. I want to go over a follow-up show here today. I've been meaning to get this second one to you. This is a follow-up from the show I did on something called Misogi. Misogi is a life-defining event that you do once a year that literally has the ability to change your life and set the tone for the entire year. I talked about that. It's called Misogi. I'm going to link up to it today if you missed that show. You can find all the links and all the big takeaways at stephencabral.com/2901. That's today's show. But this is a follow-up. This is a part 2, something a little bit different. Not quite a Misogi that you'll do once per year, a Japanese ritual, as I said on that show, but something that Jesse Itzler, which I got this notion from, calls Kevin's rule. Now, he got this rule and named this rule after someone he knows named Kevin. And Kevin, what Kevin does, and I want to paraphrase here, is he does something once a month, maybe twice a month maximum, on a Saturday or on a weekend, with the family or maybe even by himself, that isn't quite a big life-changing event, but it's something out of the ordinary. So it's scheduled, right? If you get 30 days a month, what 2 days out of the month, so it's less than 10% of the month, what 2 days out of the month can you do of creating an event in your life that you wouldn't ordinarily do? And really what it's about is an experience. So if you don't know who Jesse Itzler is, he's a very interesting individual. So a very successful entrepreneur, spent probably the first 20 years, maybe 25 years of his life trying all sorts of different businesses. He tried to become a rapper when he was younger. Then he started doing like jingles for different companies. Then he somehow created a private jet company before private jets were big. And then he got into coconut water before coconut water was big, and has some great timing, obviously very intelligent individual. Became a part owner of a basketball team that you probably know, and has apparently a great family, great relationship, really does things well and tries to find balance within his life. Now, the other thing is he looks at something called a life's resume. And so he studies people, and he has really great anecdotes on who do I want to emulate, or what do I want to do within my life to create a life resume? And it's someone that I may interview in the future as well for the Cabral Concept. Now, the thing is with Kevin's rule, though, what he tries to do is emulate this with his kids, with his wife as well. And once or twice a month is they'll set up an event, just something that it would be out of the ordinary. So let me just give you a few examples. These are a few that came to my mind. Going camping. Now, you're probably not going to do that all the time, but if you're not big on camping, if you were to take a camping trip with your family or your significant other, and it wasn't something that you ordinarily do, you'd make some pretty great memories, right? Like no matter what, whether it went really well or really poorly, if it goes really poorly at the time, never a good thing, right? Nobody's happy. But usually when you look back on it with a little bit of hindsight, you're like, that was actually kind of fun. Or even if it wasn't, you still have those great memories of being out in the cold, being out in the rain, and whatever it might be. And oftentimes, in the end, it brings people closer together. Anyway, camping is just one example. Another one would be that even if you're not artistic, right? Like you're not someone that's typically artistic, you don't paint, you don't sculpt, you don't do any of those things. Well, what if you did? Well, what if you went to a half day or all day sculpting or painting class with your family or with your significant other? It might be kind of fun. You'd not only leave it with the experience, but actually with a piece of artwork. Something you all came together. You all didn't necessarily judge each other's work, but cheered each other on, supported each other, and got to allow that creativity to pour through. I love that. So again, these are just some of the ones off the top of my mind that I'm thinking about doing with my two daughters. Another one is the opera. I've never been to an opera. I'm somewhat interested in going to an opera. I'm not sure if my wife's ever been to an opera. She was more to music and dance and all those things than I was. But wouldn't it be fascinating to take my 2 daughters to an opera? Not something we would typically ever do. But we could get dressed up. We could have the experience. We could maybe go to dinner first. Might be really fun. Something that you're doing, again, that's out of the ordinary. And beyond giving you a few more examples than that, what I would say is this. Every time you challenge your brain or challenge your comfort zone to do something a little bit different, what happens is you begin to open up more possibilities in your life. So if you say, yeah, I'll check out the opera, or yes, I'll commit to the whitewater rafting trip or the camp trip or whatever it might be, you're saying, I'm willing to experience more of life. I'm willing to get out of my comfort zone. I'm willing to do things I wouldn't ordinarily do. Because what's easy to do is sit at home for another weekend. And I'm not judging that. We do it as well. Like there's no judgment here. But what if you put in a little bit extra effort? Because it does take more effort. But with that extra effort, you get rewarded 10x. Yes, you need to plan the camping trip. Yes, you need to get the equipment. Yes, you need to pick the spot that you're going to go. And then you need to drive there and you need to pack your supplies, all of those things, right? So it takes effort. It takes work. And that's why we don't typically do it, myself included. But if you do it and you actually set the tone and you go into it looking to have that experience, magical things can happen. Especially if you do have kids, they're going to say, wow, this was really fun. And it's going to build that momentum then for the next thing. You might start to get your spouse or partner involved, or your kid and say, hey, this is the one that I chose this month. What would you like to choose next month? And you could put financial constraints on it. You could put anything that you want, is like it has to be under X dollars, whatever it might be. But doing those things, when you look back on life, it's not the money. It's really not. It's not the job. It's the experiences. And it's the people that you did it with. And so when I look at it, when I look at this next year, I'm saying, what can I plan? Twice a month might be a lot. It really might be. But if you've never done it before, which I haven't, like to look at one thing per month, and I'm still really dialing in my misogi for this year, I'm going to choose one a month. What's one thing that I can do per month that's out of the ordinary with my family that I think would lead to a great experience? So that at the end of the year, in a year from now, when I'm chatting with you again about the same exact thing, I could say, here were my 12 defining moments for the year. Some of them planned, maybe some not necessarily planned, for defining moments. And these are the experiences, the photos, the videos, the images, the laughs, the tears, all of those things that came from it. And when I look back, again, when I always do my look back on the year, which I do at this time of the year, it's the understanding of, you know, did I miss anything? Did I regret not doing anything? And by coming up these just one day, once per month activities, there's almost no regrets, because you can say over the course of a year, what are 12 things I want to experience? Most people don't have 12. I mean, I'm just, that doesn't make it good or bad. I don't know that I have 12, right? But what are 12 things that I could write down and then look back on and say, yeah, I'm glad I did those 12. And I don't know. I'm thinking about it right now, kind of jogging my memory or jogging my mind. I can maybe think of maybe 6, maybe 7. But then doing those 6 or 7, or even the idea of coming up with 6 or 7, will force my brain to say, well, what else? What else could you do? But here's what else happens. I've talked about this before. Something that the kind of original mindset people talked about, this thing inside of the mind. We have a name for it now, just called the reticular activating system. But all it means is this: when you begin to think about something, you start to see more of that in the world. So it opens up opportunities that were always there, to be honest with you. Literally, the opportunities for us to succeed and reach our potential are already there. They're all around us. We're just not tuned in. We're not vibrating to that frequency. And once I say that, people are like, whoa, what are you talking about? Vibrating, all this. Here's all that it is. If you're not thinking about it, you're taking in millions of bits of data each day, and you just don't see it all. Now, you see it subconsciously, but not consciously. Let me give you an example. I always go back to this. My wife and I, we were young, we were in our early 20s, and we went on a vacation to South Florida. And I, at the time, wanted to purchase a new car. I didn't have a car at the time, and I wanted to purchase one. And it was an Envoy. That was just the name of the SUV. And I had only seen an Envoy on the internet. Now I know this is going to sound strange. I get it. I understand. I was living in the city, just didn't see any Envoys, and or it was far and few between. And I started to look them up, started to talk about it with my girlfriend then, now wife, and I would say I really want to get an Envoy. I want to see more of them. I'm telling you right now, from the moment I said that on and I stayed fixated on it, what did I see? Envoys on an almost near daily basis. Maybe not every day, but on a near daily basis. Were there already Envoys driving around on the road? Of course there were. Did they make more Envoys now that I became aware of Envoys? No, they did not. What changed? I changed. The world did not change around me. I changed. Now my reticular activating system was locked on in the world to see what? Well, the thing that I was focused on, right? So take Envoy, that car, and replace it with whatever you're looking to do. In this case, talking about Kevin's rule, it's an out of the ordinary, an extraordinary event that you could do once a month. Does not need to be expensive. And what is that one thing per month that would actually allow you to gain more experiences in life, to maybe build up your own life resume, as Jesse Eitzler talks about. So it's one thing that I'm going to look at this year. I'm going to do a lot more. I know I already plan a lot, but I'm going to do a lot more planning, because here's why. We all have the best of intentions, but when we don't plan, it just never gets done. And the reason is that we have so many priorities in life, and life is so busy. And we oftentimes just get tired. We get run down and we just say, oh, it's just, I already have so much to do. I already have so much to think about. I can't add one more thing. So what I say to you is this: my Mondays through Fridays is like really locked on for family and work. And so I'm not doing as much Monday through Friday. Yes, I have my morning routine. I have my exercise. I make sure I take care of myself. But on the weekends, I try to keep that more free. Now, back when I was younger, I had to work weekends too. But I'm older now. I don't have to work weekends, and my brain's a little bit more free. So whenever you find your brain not as weighed down, start to think about these larger topics. Maybe it's at night. Maybe a half hour before bed. You start to think about these things. You journal them. I've got my journal right here on my desk. And every single year, I get a brand new moleskin journal, and I just start to write my goals and my hopes and my dreams and my thoughts and some essays and all these different things that I like to write in my journal. And all that I'm looking to do is just expand my mind. Not come up with a solution for world peace. I do my best, but I don't know that I'm going to come up with that. But what I like to do is allow my mind to be a little bit free and to do what I can, yes, of in service to others, but also how can I add more great experiences for myself, my family, that I believe that not even just the end of this year, but the end of my life, I can look back on and say, wow, that was a life worth lived. Thank you so much for tuning into today's Mindset and Motivation Monday on the Cabral Concept. I thank you. I appreciate you. I would love to hear what some of your extraordinary events will be this coming year. Feel free to put them in the comments. I read all of these comments. I thank you. I appreciate you. I'll talk with you soon. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.